One Pittsburgh Steelers star is being named their top trade target, and we got to talk about it, I guess. What's going on, everybody? I'm Noah Strackpine. Thank you for jumping on to Steelers to Go, your daily to-go cup of Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis. Find us on youtube.com/allsteelerstalkers. Subscribe anywhere you get your podcast today. Let's talk about the potential trade of Alex Highsmith. Bleacher Report recently put out an article who named the top 3 trade targets for the Pittsburgh Steelers. On that list is tight end Zach Gentry, who might make some sense, but chances are doesn't have that high of a trade value to him, especially after signing late in free agency. Somewhat showed maybe the Steelers are the only fit for a guy who is still getting comfortable with the position. Offensive guard Kevin Dotson was also named on that list. He's still under a rookie contract, so it makes a lot of sense for the Steelers to keep him, but it also makes a lot of sense for a team to take a chance on him right now if they believe that he could be a starting left guard for them moving forward. He has starting experience. It does make some sense, and I say that we're about to talk about Alex Highsmith, but Kevin Dotson is the Steelers' best trade target heading into training camp. Then it's Highsmith, who, quote, this is from Bleacher Report's Christopher Knox, quote, while the Steelers tend to do a good job of keeping their own players, there's no guarantee that they can retain Highsmith if he reaches 2024 free agency. Pittsburgh is already projected to be $6.7 million over the cap next year, and Highsmith would undoubtedly bring a spicy trade package back if he's dealt to a pass rush needy team. He's young, he's productive, and he's set to carry a cap just under $3 million this season. Virtually any contender would be happy to land Highsmith, and a high day 2 draft selection would likely be his value floor. Now, I got to say this. Knox does say that he doesn't believe the Pittsburgh Steelers should trade Alex Highsmith, and that's where we'll start. They should not trade Alex Highsmith. It is very plain and simple. You have a guy who's coming off of a 14.5 sack season who led the league with 5 forced fumbles in 2022. This is not a maybe he's still coming into his own Bud Dupree. This is an Alex Highsmith, a guy who is already a proven winner and player in this league, who works well with TJ Watt, who does exactly what you're asking him to do opposite of TJ Watt. I think that's the biggest thing here is the Steelers have a specific set of needs for that linebacker position. If TJ Watt is going to be your star pass rusher, what you want Alex Highsmith to be good at is a number of things. You obviously want him to get to the quarterback. That's always number one. But he's got to be good at run stuffing, and he's also got to be able to force those fumbles. He's got to be the infiltrator on the other side who can cause havoc, but also utilize the blind spot. That's huge. James Harrison made a Hall of Fame career out of what Alex Highsmith started to do productively this season. Again, he's young, he's cheap, and he's still developing while still being good. That is a player that you want on your team no matter who you are, especially if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. But it goes deeper than that. The Steelers are a team that view themselves very highly right now. They believe that they are a Super Bowl contender, that the pieces to the puzzle are in place. Art Rooney and Mike Tomlin and Omar Khan have a game plan about how the offense can adjust and become a winning offense. They don't need to struggle in the fourth quarter and make every game a comeback or a last-second victory. They just want to win, and they've put the pieces to the puzzle together to have a successful season without as much stress as they had a year ago. And if everything goes smoothly, that's how teams anticipate the season, nobody is sitting around going, man, if all of our stars go down, do we still have a contender? That's not what anybody's thinking. What they're thinking is, on paper, this team is a Super Bowl team. Can we put that on the field? And on paper, and I've said this before, and I think a lot of people are jumping on the trend as of late, the Steelers are a contender. They have a young quarterback who's about to hit his second season in the league, first year as a starter. And if he takes a significant jump, you have to believe that the offense is going to work so much better than it worked a year ago. They have an offensive line for the first time in forever. Najee Harris has the best team around him that he's had in 3 years, and hopefully this means that this is the first time that we see an electric running game out of Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren. The defense filled a lot of holes, especially on the defensive line. Their secondary got a reboost, and their safety position held strong and pretty much replaced Terrell Edmunds with possibly a slight upgrade to Terrell Edmunds when it comes to playing in the box. They've done everything that they needed to do to assure themselves that on paper, this team looks very good. It's about putting it on the field. But I can tell you this, the Steelers are not going to say, hey, the puzzle is put together, the pieces are in place, we look damn good right now. We don't have a pressing need at any position whatsoever. You want to know what we're going to do? Trade Alex Highsmith, especially when last year it proved, and the year before that, it proved that we need at least 3 outside linebackers who are starter capable at all times. And what do they have right now? 3 outside linebackers who are starter capable at all times in Highsmith, TJ Watt, and Marcus Golden. You remove one of those 3, and this team is in a lot more trouble than they're in right now. You remove Alex Highsmith, and I get TJ Watt is the make or break, but if you remove Alex Highsmith, you are as close to a just removed a key piece to this puzzle as you could possibly come. There are not many players above Alex Highsmith on the Pittsburgh Steelers roster that will be more difficult to replace than him, especially this season. It makes almost no sense. So let me tell you about what will happen. Likely. Chances are the Steelers do get a deal done with Alex Highsmith, and chances are that deal gets done, if not right before training camp, right as training camp is starting. I don't imagine Alex Highsmith is a guy who has to hold in for much longer or spend a lot of time practicing on the sidelines and missing quality in-camp reps. I think the Steelers and him both understand that he's not a TJ Watt, and he's not going to get paid like a TJ Watt, but he'll get paid pretty well for the position. His market value right now is 4 years, just under $56 million, $55.6 million, according to Spotrac. That would put him as the 12th highest paid outside linebacker in the NFL. Do I think that that's where he is right now? I think maybe he's on the way past the 12th and maybe into the top 10. But if you're going to sign somebody with the understanding that you already have TJ Watt under contract, you already have Minkah Fitzpatrick under contract, you just signed Patrick Peterson, you have to re-sign Levi Wallace next year, Larry Ogunjobi just got a new deal, Cam Hayward needs a new deal at some point, you have pieces that need to be re-signed. Highsmith has to have some understanding that if he wants to stay in Pittsburgh, he can't take as big of a contract as he will get in free agency. And that's obviously an understanding that both sides are going to have and a conversation that both sides are going to have. But it comes down to this. Alex Highsmith is in one of the best spots that he could possibly be. He's in a young team with a young pass rushing star on the opposite end of him. Those two mix very, very well. If both of them get 15 plus sacks in a season, that is as dominant as it gets in this league these days. On top of that, just like we went through, this team is a contender and they're very young and the pieces are there. And it seems that if the life cycle of the NFL is as real as it's been to the Steelers in the last couple of years, it should give them as much hope as it did disappointment in the last 3 or 4 years within the next 3 or 4 years. They have a contending team for the foreseeable future. This team doesn't have a lot of holes. Alex Highsmith is not going to create one with the trade. The Steelers would be better to franchise tag him next year and then maybe deal him if that's how they're looking at things. But by no means is he on the trading block heading into this season. And no matter how this season plays out, I have a hard time believing that he'll be on the trading block at all during the regular season before the trade deadline. I think the better expectation is that a deal gets done. I think the expectation should be that the deal gets done, if not before, very soon after training camp starts. I think it'll be somewhat of a team-friendly deal with Alex Highsmith still getting the bag, and a very much so well-deserved bag. And I think that he's a key part to this team's success for the next 5+ years. But I don't think he's a top trade target. And I think if you showed Omar Khan or Art Rooney or Mike Tomlin or Terrell Austin or anybody on the Steelers staff this article and said, hey, do you think Alex Highsmith is a trade target? They'd laugh at you. And even Omar Khan, who takes calls for everybody and probably will take calls for Alex Highsmith throughout the season, is going to tell you Alex Highsmith ain't going anywhere.